Chosen one, urgent message for you. God decided. There are rare moments in history when everything stops. A divine signal echoes through the air, carrying a message too sacred to be ignored. Chosen one, you are living in such a moment. This is not a coincidence. It's not chance. What you are feeling right now, the internal shaking, the strange quiet, the sudden clarity, is not random. Something has shifted. Something sacred has been revealed in your name. God has decided, and the decision carries weight across every realm connected to your destiny. This video carries an urgent message chosen specifically for your soul's journey. Watch this video until the very end, because what is being revealed to you is about the transformation that's already in motion. And write your warmest wishes in the comments and write Amen along with the number 99. That simple act sends a ripple into the spiritual universe. A wave that returns. A current of energy that turns intention into manifestation. It's how you align with miracles. It's how you activate the words God spoke in secret on your behalf. Now, chosen one, like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and let's begin. There is a divine order to chaos, but it's only visible to those whose eyes have been trained to see beyond distraction. God does not send ordinary instructions to extraordinary people, and you are not ordinary. You have been marked for impact, sealed with divine ink, and assigned for a time that requires bold souls with quiet strength. The urgency you feel is not fear, it's divine acceleration. It is the hand of God tapping your spirit, awakening you before the noise, ahead of the confusion. You're being given a head start. You're being pulled into the upper chambers of spiritual instruction. Not everyone hears this call, but you did. There is something undeniable happening in your life. Patterns are breaking, people are disappearing, and peace is being restored in places that once caused pain. Don't try to explain it. This is beyond logic. This is divine strategy. When God decides something, nature responds. Clocks shift, cycles close, heavens realign. And all of that is happening now. Not to you, but for you. You're not late. You're not early. You are right on time for the shift that was promised before you even knew how to ask for it. God saw the days you wanted to quit. The ones where you stayed silent instead of defending yourself. The times you walked away when you could have reacted in anger. Every seed of restraint was a prophetic action, even when you didn't know it. Those tears weren't wasted. They were collected. That silence wasn't weakness. It was wisdom. And now, the reward tied to your restraint is arriving. Not because the world has chosen to bless you, but because God has already decided it must be so. There are whispers in the spirit right now carrying your name. It's not superstition. It's divine preparation. It's the sound of heaven aligning what you need, removing what you don't, and securing what belongs to you. It's the quiet before the overflow, the silence before the trumpet, the inhale before the shout. And just like a seed feels the pressure before it breaks through the soil, you're feeling the tension of becoming something greater. Don't misunderstand the urgency. It's not panic. It's precision. You're in a delicate window of obedience where everything you sense must be respected. God is delivering instructions between the lines of your routine, in the small nudges, in the unexpected detours, in the conversations that seem random but carry revelation. You are being directed without disruption, protected without permission, watched over without warning. Because when God decides, there is no vote, no debate, no delay. People may question how things are suddenly aligning for you. Let them. They didn't hear what you heard. They didn't carry what you carried. They weren't chosen. God didn't whisper their name in the middle of the night, but He whispered yours. And now that He has made His decision, no rejection can reverse it. No jealousy can delay it. No confusion can interfere. What is yours, spiritually, emotionally, financially, is already on its way. The only question is, will you believe it before you see it? This is the season where divine reversals will occur, where what once seemed immovable will suddenly shift. Doors you thought were sealed forever will swing open, not because you knocked harder, but because God decided they must open. Relationships will change, assignments will evolve, and provision will show up in places you never considered. But it won't come with noise. It will come quietly, urgently, softly, like a sacred wind moving through your atmosphere with direction and certainty. There are blessings with your name on them waiting for your agreement. Not your effort, not your perfection, your agreement. Because this message isn't about doing more, striving more, pushing harder. It's about recognizing what's already been done. The war has been fought. The decision has been made. You are not here to beg. You are here to receive. God has set things in motion that can no longer be reversed. This is divine momentum, and you're being carried by it. You may have been misunderstood, underestimated, even mocked, but that was all part of the camouflage. God was hiding you in plain sight until the appointed time. And now that the time has come, your light can no longer be dimmed. Your voice can no longer be silenced. You were not called to fit in. You were called to stand out. And when heaven issues an urgent call, it doesn't sound like the noise of this world. It sounds like peace that passes understanding. It feels like clarity in chaos. It shows up as courage in moments where others cower. This message is not a coincidence. You were meant to hear it now. Not because you're behind, but because you're aligned. Everything you've endured, everything you've survived, everything you've been waiting for, it's culminating in this moment. God is not asking you to guess. He's asking you to trust. The message is urgent, not because time is running out, but because time is running in. Into your promise, into your purpose, into your prepared place. The urgency is holy. The decision is divine. And you, chosen one, are being activated. Not next month, not someday. Now. The air is charged differently around you, and even if you can't explain it to anyone, you can feel it. You wake up and something feels louder, clearer, sharper. Not in noise, but in knowing. You're not just going through the motions anymore. You're being pulled into alignment. There's a spiritual gravity dragging your soul into a precise position, and it's not by accident. Chosen one, this urgency is not yours to control. It's God's movement manifesting in your atmosphere. This isn't pressure to rush. This is a divine alert system echoing from realms above. It's heaven's way of telling you something is being activated. It's not a feeling. It's a spiritual broadcast. That deep sense that something is coming is not fear, it's awareness. When God decides to speak, He does not always use sound. Sometimes He uses silence. Sometimes He uses delay. Sometimes He uses disruption. But this moment is different. This is the type of urgency that comes when what's been kept hidden must now be revealed. God's urgency doesn't sound like chaos. It sounds like readiness. It's the sacred tension that tells your bones, something is ending, something is beginning, and you are no longer allowed to pretend nothing's happening. The urgency is confirmation that what you've prayed for is approaching, that what was denied is returning, that what was broken is rebuilding itself, that what was lost is being relocated back to you. You can't delay your alignment any longer, because heaven is on schedule, and so must you be. This is the moment you realize you're not who you used to be. The way you see things has changed. The way you hear truth is sharper. The way you feel energies and discern motives is stronger. You've been prepared quietly while everyone else was watching the wrong version of you. The version God was building in the dark. That's who is emerging now. That version is the one heaven is urgent about. That version is the one equipped for what's coming. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about revealing who you've always been beneath the layers of survival. Chosen one. Heaven is pulling the curtain back. You're about to see who was real, who was fake, who was assigned, and who was sent to delay. God is not just delivering your promise. He's exposing your surroundings. Because your next step is too critical for confusion. Your next level requires clarity. There is no room for expired assignments. There is no space for accidental access. If they weren't sent, they can't stay. If they don't align, they can't go. The urgency is cleansing everything that cannot follow you into what's next. What's happening around you may feel like collapse, but it's really construction. God is not tearing your life apart. He's reassembling it for your calling. Some delays were disguised as protection. Some losses were shields in disguise. Some rejections were heaven's reroutes. The urgency is making sense of what felt senseless. You're starting to see the design in the disorder. You're not just chosen to rise. You're being strategically lifted through divine patterns. When God decides it's your time, He doesn't wait for others to agree. He doesn't ask for the crowd to applaud. He doesn't need your background to validate your future. The decision has been made. And now the delivery begins. You are not waiting for approval anymore. You are walking into authority. You are not hoping to be seen. You are being revealed. Your gifts, your grace, your timing, all of it is now under divine acceleration. And yes, it will happen fast. That's why this message carries weight. That's why heaven is speaking now. Not to rush you, but to ready you. Because sudden movement is coming. Sudden invitations. Sudden opportunities. Sudden confirmation of things you felt but couldn't prove. You'll watch things shift so quickly that the only explanation will be divine decision. Not planning, not coincidence. God. Only God. You're about to be shown why the waiting was necessary. Why the delay had to last that long. Why the betrayal had to happen. Why the door had to close. You'll look back and see a clear pattern of protection. And when the clarity hits, you'll understand. It wasn't punishment. It was preparation. You weren't being tested for cruelty. You were being trained for responsibility. This urgency is not about panic. It's about positioning. The next version of your life is not based on chance. It's based on covenant. God didn't make a casual decision about you. He wrote your name into the fabric of divine timing. That's why this message isn't just a reminder. It's a signal. That inner nudge you feel is confirmation. Your name has entered a divine sequence. Everything connected to your name is now under divine review. Every held-up blessing, every overdue promise, every hidden provision is being sent for release. And it's not just about what you receive. It's about what you carry. You are the answer to questions others have been asking in secret. You are the proof of what God can do with someone who stayed faithful even when confused. You are the living testimony of divine preservation. People didn't see what you went through, but they'll see the outcome. They'll witness the shift. They'll watch the upgrade. And they'll realize it was never about being lucky. It was about being chosen. This urgency is God's whisper saying, I'm about to use you in a way that will silence every lie spoken about you. Not out of revenge, but out of revelation. Because when you rise, others will see what they missed. When you walk in your promise, others will remember what they ignored. But don't get distracted by the noise. The rise isn't about proving anything to them. It's about walking fully in what was already written about you long before their opinions were formed. You were never created for delay. You were created for divine flow. You were never meant to settle. You were built to expand. And now that the season has shifted, so must you. No more postponing. No more doubting. No more second guessing. The time is now. The wind is with you. The oil is on you. The favor is ahead of you. And the voice behind you is still whispering, "Go. I've already decided." The vibration surrounding you has changed. It's subtle but undeniable, like the stillness before thunder, the quiet before a divine announcement. Chosen one, the atmosphere around your life is under divine pressure. Not because something is wrong, but because something right is finally being revealed. You are in the presence of something holy, something irreversible, something that cannot be delayed any longer. Heaven is speaking, and the message is urgent because it was sealed for a time such as this. The decisions have already been made in the spiritual realm. The blueprints have already been approved, and now you are walking through the thin place, the invisible threshold where spiritual orders become visible outcomes. That pressure you feel is not confusion. It's the signal that delivery has begun. And because God has decided, the very framework of your life is responding. Circumstances are bending. Time is stretching. People are being rerouted, all to make room for what's been released. You weren't called to walk in circles. You were called to walk in cycles of completion. And that's what this moment carries. Completion. What once was left open, what once was paused, what once was forgotten. It's all being revisited under divine urgency. God is not asking you to earn anything new. He's calling back everything with your name that was delayed, misrouted, stolen, buried, or ignored. The urgency is in the retrieval. Heaven is on a mission to return what belongs to you. Some doors are opening not because you knocked harder, but because God whispered behind them. Some conversations are shifting not because you convinced anyone, but because God rewired hearts. Some opportunities are circling back not because people changed their minds, but because God overruled decisions. The urgency is sacred because it bypasses logic. This isn't about effort. This is about evidence. You are about to witness what divine timing looks like when it's finally your turn. You're not stepping into a season. You're stepping into a sentence that was declared over your life before you were born. A sentence written in the language of heaven. A sentence that does not change based on circumstances, criticism, or current events. God has spoken. And when God speaks, angels move. When God speaks, nature adjusts. When God speaks, systems shift. And when God speaks about you, the earth has no choice but to respond. This message comes with urgency because you're not being prepared. You're being positioned. This isn't about learning anymore. You've learned. You've matured. You've grown. Now comes the moment where God says, "I can use you now." The season of isolation wasn't punishment. It was calibration. And now, the instrument is tuned. You are being pulled out of the case, lifted from the shelf, placed on the stage. Not for applause, but for assignment. You are about to see what heaven saw when it first called your name. You're about to step into the version of yourself that looks like what God imagined. The version that no trauma could erase. The version that no heartbreak could destroy. The version that no delay could deny. And yes, it will surprise people. Yes, it will shock those who thought you were finished. Yes, it will even surprise you. Because divine decisions often exceed human imagination. But don't get distracted by who doesn't believe it. Don't waste a moment explaining the move of God to people who weren't in the room when heaven made the announcement. You don't owe clarity to those who ignored your pain. You don't owe proof to those who overlooked your potential. The only one you owe your attention to in this moment is God, because He's the one orchestrating this sudden release. And when He moves this fast, it means the time is short for everything to align. Chosen one, you are in a divine countdown. The numbers are unseen, but the urgency is real. What felt like forever is now moving like lightning. What was stalled is now speeding. What was impossible is now imminent. You'll find yourself in rooms you didn't apply for, conversations you didn't start, blessings you didn't chase, and the only explanation you'll have is, God decided. That's it. No negotiation, no manipulation, no compromise. This urgency is connected to the Earth's alignment with your spirit. You may have felt out of place before, but that was because your time hadn't activated yet. The scenery didn't match your soul because your chapter hadn't turned. But now, the atmosphere around you is starting to reflect your internal transformation. That's why things are changing without warning. That's why certain people are becoming quiet. That's why you don't have peace in places you once tolerated. You're being pulled into divine alignment at divine speed. The shift is not just external, it's internal. You'll notice a new level of discernment, a sharper inner voice, a deeper calm. This is God's upgrade to your spiritual system. You're no longer just seeing with your eyes. You're seeing with your assignment. You're no longer feeling things emotionally. You're sensing things prophetically. Your spirit knows what your mind hasn't caught up with yet. And that's why the urgency feels uncomfortable. It's divine wisdom moving faster than your logic. God is making room for your voice, not because you begged, but because He breathed on your name. You'll begin to feel the spotlight of heaven, not to show off, but to shine light on what's been overlooked. Your gifts, your insight, your uniqueness. They weren't rejected. They were being preserved. The moment they're needed most is the moment they will be released. And that moment is now. This is not a setup for applause. This is a setup for impact. Heaven didn't prepare you just so you could be seen. Heaven prepared you so you could be heard, felt, followed, because your alignment is an example for others. There are those watching you who don't even know they're about to be changed just by witnessing your shift. You are carrying more than a calling. You are carrying a ripple effect. And that's why the message is urgent. Because when you move, others will follow. When you believe, others will rise. When you say yes, heaven multiplies the impact. You are the signal. You are the proof. You are the prophecy in motion. And everything you've experienced was part of the buildup. God didn't bring you this far just to stall. The breakthrough is not coming. It's here. The delay is not ending. It's over. And now, as the divine echo carries your name across realms, your only task is to recognize it and receive. The decision is final. The urgency is real. The time is now. There are days when you wake up and everything feels the same on the outside. The walls, the streets, the weather. But deep within, something tells you the spiritual landscape has shifted. You can't see it with your physical eyes, but your spirit senses it. The rhythm of your life is no longer moving to the old beat. The tempo has changed. You are no longer waiting for the moment. You are inside of it. Chosen one. This isn't just your next chapter. This is the chapter that shifts the entire story. God decided, and now the atmosphere is obeying. The urgency isn't random. It's not just an emotional stirring. It's a divine marker that the door has opened. And here's what most people never understand. Doors don't swing wide open with fanfare. They often crack in silence. And unless you're listening with the ears of your spirit, you'll miss the subtle signal. But you didn't miss it. You sensed the shift. You heard the stillness speak. You recognized the sacredness of the moment. That's why this message found you. Because you're one of the few who was awake when heaven whispered. God has placed you in a very specific window. A narrow moment of alignment where action and awareness must walk together. You can't afford to sleep on this timing. It's too intentional. It's too holy. This isn't about being busy. This is about being in flow. It's about responding to what God already arranged. You're not creating the path. You're stepping onto one that's already been paved through pain, prayers, and preparation. Everything that was once too early is now on time. Conversations that used to feel forced now flow. Ideas that were once unclear now carry clarity. Doors that once closed are now unlocked. And you don't need to kick them open. You just need to recognize when they're ajar. That's why urgency matters. Because when heaven says now, delay becomes disobedience. The moment is too rich to ignore. This season is not about trying harder. It's about hearing sharper. The urgency is not pushing you to do more. It's calling you to tune in more deeply, to recognize divine rhythm, to trust the signals, to walk through what looks unfamiliar because you know who authored it. This is the season where your soul must lead and your doubts must bow. Not because you're certain, but because you're surrendered. What's coming doesn't require your credentials. It requires your consent. God doesn't need your resume. He needs your response. You've been chosen not because of what you've done, but because of what He's doing through you. This isn't about your past, it's about your alignment. The urgency is heaven's way of preparing you to be at the right place at the right moment to collide with what has always been yours. There is a reason your spirit is waking you up in the middle of the night. There is a reason you're becoming more selective with your time. There is a reason you're losing the desire to explain yourself to people who don't understand. You are no longer trying to be understood. You are now being positioned. And with that positioning comes divine protection, divine provision, and divine privacy. Some things God is doing in you are too sacred for public explanation. Don't try to articulate what God is doing to people who are still in an old version of your story. They won't get it. And they're not supposed to. The urgency isn't for them. It's for you. It's a private signal, a whispered warning, a divine nudge to go where you're being pulled, even if no one claps when you move. The reward is not in their recognition. The reward is in your obedience. And this moment, this very moment, is drenched in destiny. You are in the final moments before major visibility, and visibility without spiritual grounding is dangerous. That's why you've been through the silence. That's why you've endured the dark places. That's why you were hidden when others were being celebrated. God was building something deep, so that when He revealed you, no storm could shake you. This urgency is not about rushing. It's about rising. It's not about panicking. It's about positioning. The shift you're feeling is the sound of your name being called in realms your feet haven't reached yet. But your spirit is already responding. That deep sense of movement, of preparation, of letting go of what no longer serves you. That's not your imagination. That's your divine self-awakening. You're no longer a visitor in this spiritual space. You're a resident. You belong here now. The growth is permanent. The elevation is irreversible. And yes, there will be moments that test you. Not to break you, but to reveal how strong you've become. Not to punish you, but to unlock the next door. The urgency is about staying aware when the trial hits, because sometimes the final test comes dressed as silence, as discomfort, as delay. But now you know how to listen deeper. Now you know how to wait with your eyes open. Now you understand that stillness isn't the absence of movement. It's the preparation for the shift. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. You are perfectly placed inside divine timing. And timing is everything. The same seed planted too early dies. The same opportunity chased too late disappears. But when God decides the time is now, everything that's been waiting behind the veil rushes forward to greet you. The resources, the people, the platforms, the purpose. It all arrives with the breath of God behind it. There is no going back to who you were before the message reached you. Because once you've heard the call, everything else becomes noise. You can't unfeel what your soul knows. You can't unsee what heaven revealed. And even if fear tries to whisper, it can't drown out the sound of divine urgency. That urgency is your cue. That urgency is your signal. That urgency is your permission. God doesn't waste warnings. He doesn't repeat himself for entertainment. If he's speaking to you now, it's because this moment is the doorway. Not a possibility, a certainty. The clarity you've been seeking is arriving. The guidance you needed is appearing. And the confirmation you prayed for is now speaking through this very message. Your spirit didn't tune into this by accident. It was summoned. And now that you've heard it, you'll never again question whether or not it's time. It is time. Your timeline is no longer ordinary. The moment you surrendered to what God was doing, the rules shifted. You stopped living by surface clocks and started moving by spiritual alignment. And now, what once required struggle is arriving by surrender. What once took years will now take days. Not because the process doesn't matter, but because the timing has matured. You're not skipping steps. You're stepping into speed. This urgency, it's not asking you to panic. It's asking you to perceive, to become aware of just how close you are. There is a very thin veil between where you are and where you're about to be. One decision, one divine connection, one unexpected moment, and suddenly, everything you've endured makes sense. God doesn't move slow because he's unsure. He moves intentionally, and when the hour comes, his plans don't crawl. They surge. What's coming is not random. It's rehearsed in heaven. Heaven has practiced this moment over your life. The blessing you're about to walk into has already been spoken over in sacred meetings, already sealed in secret rooms of glory. What feels like a surprise to you has been discussed in spiritual realms for years. That's why your soul feels uneasy. It's not anxiety. It's divine memory catching up to physical reality. Every decision you made in faith is now being counted. Every moment you said yes when it would have been easier to say no, it was recorded. And now, the books are opening. The records are aligning. The urgency you feel is the spiritual manifestation of what's being sent into the material. The shift is real, and it will not wait. You are not waiting on the promise anymore. The promise is now waiting on your presence. God is saying, arrive fully, not with hesitation, not with fear, but with the knowing that you are not here by accident. You are here by divine precision. You are not lucky. You are not barely hanging on. You are divinely scheduled. You are in sync with the divine. Chosen one, this urgency is attached to something large. Not just a blessing, but a legacy. Not just a miracle, but a movement. What's being released through you will not stop with you. It will ripple. It will affect generations. It will shake systems. That's why the weight has been heavy. That's why your process has been long. Because what you carry is not casual. And now, it can no longer be delayed. When God decides, things start moving even before you speak. The angels are already assigned. The doors are already being opened. The finances are already being rerouted. The names are already being spoken in places you've never walked into. And all of it is happening in real time, not in some distant season, now. You will begin to notice the signs intensify. Unexplainable peace in the middle of uncertainty. Sudden urges to prepare without knowing why. People falling off without conflict. Ideas coming without effort. These aren't coincidences. They are confirmations. Echoes of the divine decision. The atmosphere around your life is being shifted to make space for what's coming. Let no one tell you this is emotional. This is spiritual strategy. God is too precise to move on feelings. He moves on timing. And your name just hit the divine timeline. The weight has shifted into the walk. And this walk? It's not about wandering. It's about witnessing. You are about to witness everything God spoke over you in private come to pass in public. And with this unveiling comes responsibility. You are no longer allowed to live in confusion when clarity has come. You are no longer allowed to shrink when your name has been called. You are no longer permitted to doubt what God has already decided. The time for rehearsing your worth is over. The world will now see what heaven never questioned, that you were chosen for this. There will be days soon when your breath will catch at the goodness you see unfold, when the very thing you wrote down in silence will appear in full color in front of you. You'll weep not from sadness, but from sacred confirmation.